Should have typed them. Should have typed them. Hey folks, it's KJ Bell and welcome to episode 6 of Another Way on YouTube. Today we're talking about connection. This episode is very pot calling the kettle black because I am terrified of connection. But at the same time, it's like something that I crave because I'm a human being and we're social creatures. And that's the problem with being a human being, is that we crave, we need that society, we want to feel in something, but at the same time, connecting with someone inherently has vulnerability in it. And we don't like to be vulnerable. And the problem we have with this fear of connecting, which I think a lot of people have, even if they don't want to admit it, the problem with that as any sort of creative artist type person is that fear of connection is counter to the point of art. Because the point of art is to connect in some sort of way with something, with an audience, with another person, with the art itself, with whatever. It's very difficult to just create art for art's sake. So the best way to deal with that fear of connection is to connect. And here's the pot calling the kettle black moment, because I just moved to a new city and I'm trying my hardest to meet people, and I would much rather just sit in my apartment and not do things. But you can't do that. It gets lonely. The other thing that we have to do is we have to connect with ourselves, because if you can't connect to yourself on any sort of level, you're going to have a very hard time establishing real connections with other people or with your art or anything that you do. So that's a thing that we have to deal with as well. And I think that doing anything sort of in a self-exploratory way, hi Jack, doing anything to sort of explore yourself can help you with that connection. So therapy is a good thing to do. I am a big proponent of the therapy. I told my first therapist once that if I met myself at a party, that I wouldn't be friends with myself. I wouldn't get along with me. And that's the sort of thing that you have to get past in order to connect. Because if you can't at least tolerate yourself, you're going to have a very hard time establishing meaningful connections. It's true. Because if you don't like you, how can you expect anybody else to like you? And I say that to encourage you to get to like yourself. So therapy is good. The morning pages and the writing practice I talk about all the time are very, very good for that. Finding what I call your pillars. Take a look at the practice video if you don't remember what those are. Those are good. I mean, Google questions to get to know yourself. Hi Jack. If you Google that, you'll find a ton of stuff that will be very helpful. When you start to do any sort of self-exploration, you're going to run into a thing that happens sometimes where people will tell you that you're being selfish. And they'll come at you with all sorts of why are you doing this? Why are you taking the time? Why, you're just wasting your time. You could be doing things that are more productive. Those people are afraid of connecting with themselves. And you doing your own sort of self-exploration have threatened their ego. And so they attack you for doing what they're so afraid of doing. I have been that person. So I know. And connecting requires practice as much as anything. You have to practice doing it. And I'm not saying that you should go out and find a stranger on the street and let's be best friends. Baby steps are fine. Smile at the stranger on the street. Call a friend that you haven't talked to in a while. Things like that. Strike up a conversation with the person in the grocery line, as much as they might hate it. That's where you have to recognize social cues. Because I'm on both sides of that. Sometimes I will be the person that strikes up the conversation. More often than not, I'm the person that's like, why are you talking to me? And I try to make it very clear through my body language when I'm open and when I'm not. Except people aren't good at body language, so figure out body language. The other thing we have to talk about that comes up with connection is social media. We're on YouTube. The problem is people see that as connecting, but it can be a very superficial connection. It's like any other tool. It's in how you use it. If you use it effectively, it can be very good. But if you don't use it that effectively, it can just seem like it's working and not be working at all. So you have to be careful with things like Twitter and the Facebook and all that stuff. Your Facebook friends, how many of them are actually like good friends of yours? And the other problem with this is that you are probably going to get hurt. Connecting with somebody, you are going to be vulnerable, and whenever you're vulnerable, you can be hurt in some way. But that's kind of the point. And that's how you grow, and that's how you become a more evolved human being and all that sort of stuff. So, go out and do some connecting. Connect with yourself, connect with other people, connect with your art, connect with everything. Because it's so crucial to being a creative person and just being a well-rounded human being on the planet. Okay, so subscribe to the channel, give the video a like if you like. You can find links in the description to the podcast episode that goes with this video, and I'm also starting to do blog posts on my website, horizoncreativestudio.com, link in the description, on these topics that I'm covering in these videos, but they go way more in depth, so you can check that out below too. I can't win. I can't win. I shut them in the bedroom, they yowl and scratch at the door. I let them out, and this happens. I can't win. I think I'm in charge, but I'm not in charge, am I? You're in charge. Maybe I should have been a dog person.